Okay, good evening. Today's daf is Mem Aleph. We're up to Mem on the base. I'd say we're about 15 lines in the bottom. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Rabbi Yossi Omer. Now, we said that in the Chakiros, we said in the Chakiros there were 7 Chakiros, and Rabbi Yossi said, let's go back to the Mishnah for a second, right? Go back to the Mishnah for a second on Mem. So what were the Chakiros? Is a Shvua, which Yovel year, is a Shana, which year of the Yovel year, Beis a Chodesh, which month, V'kama b'Chodesh, Beis a Yom, Beis a Shah, Beis a Makom. Rabbi Yossi Omer, only 3 things: Beis a Yom, Beis a Shah, Beis a Makom. Again, the purpose of the Chakiros was to make sure that the Eidim are on the up and up. So you need Eid Shat Yochel Azima. So the purpose of those questions and the answer to the questions could lead to Hazama. Says Rabbi Yossi, I don't have to know about who. We spoke out the Minchas Chinuch. Who can know the Yovel, what Yovel year it is? We haven't had Yovel since Bisman Bayis Rishon. I mean, who knows what Yovel year it is? It's not something you would know. We spoke out a beautiful Minchas Chinuch. Like, and which year? Who knows these things? You know, right off the bat, you don't know. But for Azama, it's enough to know which day, which month, and which place. That's certainly enough to know. Okay, so that's Rabbi Yossi. We comment on Rabbi Yossi. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yossi Omer, Anya, Amle Rabbi Yossi. Says Rabbi Yossi to the Chachamim, L'divreichem, according to you, that you need to know the Yovel, you need to know the Shvua. Mi Shabav Amar, Emesh Hargu, killed yesterday. Killed, you know, Aiden come and say, this guy killed yesterday. Amar Loi, you're going to say to him, Be'ez Shvua, which Yovel cycle was it? Be'ez Shana, which year in the Yovel cycle was it? Be'ez Chodesh, which month? Bekama b'chodesh. In other words, he said it's yesterday. What are you in these 7 chakiras? He said yesterday. So Amrullah, they told Rabbi Yossi Uldurecha, who says you have to know the day, right, and the date. Mishabav ama achshav hargu. If you say you killed now, Amrullah be'ez a yoim, be'ez a shah, be'ez a makayim. Are you going to say that? Again, what's the purpose? Ella afagav d'leit tzorich, even though it's not necessary to go ahead and establish hazama. Ramin aleha. We're going to go in and ask these questions. Kid Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, like Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, who we met in the first parak. They take the Eidim, they walk them around to make them tired, to go get them for blanchit. So who are they? Well, they ask him questions to go ahead and get them for blanchit. In other words, that's not a kasha. No, it's einachinami. For the hazama part, we don't need those questions. For the hazama part, we don't need those questions. We have enough info to go ahead, and he has to worry about someone saying Imono Yisem. If he said it was yesterday, right? Or if he said it's now. We have enough. We have enough of information for Hazama. What we do ask these questions, different questions, is we want to make the Eidim is have to think about it and everything, and they might be makish each other. Because again, remember, what's the whole yisoid over here? If it's silu as Eidim, we want to save somebody's life. We want to make it so difficult when it comes to capital punishment to ensure that the guy will be okay. So that's why we're not doing it for the Hasama purpose. We're doing it for the purpose to go ahead and save the guy's life if possible. So Hanami here as well. So Rabbi Yossi, Emesh Hargu Shchicha, Rabbi Yossi. How come he said, right? Emesh Hargu, he killed yesterday, is Shchiach. But Roy Vidius, Achshav Hargu Shchicha Roy Vidius. And to say he killed now, in the majority of Edis, we don't say. But yesterday is Shayach. So yesterday.
Rabbi, where are you up to? Sorry about that.
I have to. We're up to Masechta Sanhedrin. That was a layup. We're up to Mem. He's giving me the zing sign. Anyway, field goal. We're up to Mem Amid Aleph. We're about 5 lines from the bottom. Tanu Makir Ma'atema Isai. Mem Amid Beis. What did I say? Mem Amid Beis. I'm sorry, Mem Amid Beis. All right. 5 lines from the bottom. Okay, so one of the questions they would ask him is Makirma, do you recognize him? Right? Do you recognize the person who under discussion? Do you recognize who we're speaking about? The right. So now who we talking about? Says the Gemara. Makirma Toisoi, Tan Rabbanan. They asked the Eidim, did you see the one who was killed? Makirma Toisoi, the Hayreg? Right. Nachri Harag, was he a Nachri? Or Yisrael harag, or was it a Jew? If he killed a Nachri, he would not be chayiv. Hisrei Simbai, did you go ahead and give him hasra? Don't do this. Kibul of hasra, was he makabel the hasra? Was he makabel the hasra? He says, I know. And hitter atzmoi lemisa, and nonetheless he mated himself a misa. Let's see Rashi on this point, fellas. Hitter atzmoi lemisa, about 4 lines from the bottom. Kishehis risambai, when you went ahead and gave him hasra. Al taver, do not be over this avera. Shatem eschayev misa ploinus. You're going to get misa ploinus. You're going to get hereg, sayef, hereg, whatever it is. Oimer, he says, Amanas kenani oisa. I'm doing it. I don't care. I'm doing it. The imloi hifker atzmai ain't an era. Kill kamani. If he's not mafker himself, he won't get killed, like we'll see later on. In other words, you want to know why a bezdin that killed someone in 70 years was called a hanging bezdin. It's really hard to kill someone in Judaism. It have to be that you gave. First of all, the Eidim had to be a little knowledgeable. Oh, you're about to kill somebody? By the way, do you know you're going to get what? You have to tell them you're going to get the sayif, right? Or whatever, Oh, you're going to do this aveira, you're going to get, you have to know a little bit. And Sveitens, the guy has to turn to you and goes, okay, I know. Because do you realize you're going to die? He goes, yeah, I'm okay with that. Okay, right. Anyway, okay, so it's again, so hitiratzma lemisa, and in addition, Hamis b'toich dibur, did he go ahead and kill toich dibur to your hasra? Did he kill toich dibur to your hasra? Says Rashi, kidei sheila shalom, shalom aleichem, my Rabbi, shemshah la'ach hasra yosef dibur. If he delays after the asra more than the kedei dibur, ikla meima shekva shak asra. Maybe he forgot the asra already. What? Uncle Elliot.
Yeah.
Okay. Uncle Elliot. Yeah, he came back. He came back. Anyway.
He was Raphael Vidoni?
What? Anyway. Guys, we'll explain to you Uncle Elliot after share. Now, so again, so if you delay a little bit, if you that was his chavrusa. If you delay a little bit, right, then again the guy, it could be he forgets, and therefore what? And therefore you won't be able to kill the guy. So all this has to be, do you mark the guy? You recognize who it is he killed, and was he accept to give you masra particular misa? Did he accept the asra? And he said, I'll kill him anyway. Let's say it's not a right sayach. Let's say he's doing avodah zara. Atmi avad. Do you know who you're serving? L'pa'or avad. Are you doing pa'or? L'markulas of it. Are you serving markulas? That's a avodah zara. That the racks. Ubima avad. And how to serve this avodah zara? B'zivuach. Are you shechting karbanis to it? B'kitur. Are you burning incense to it? B'nisach, libations. B'shtacheva. All different things. Do you know how to serve this avodah zara? And these are ways if you serve, even if it's not the way of the avodah zara, you be chayiv. Okay, so therefore all these have to be yes. Now ula. What does ula say? Minayin lehasra min haTorah. A very, very basic question. How do you know what hasra from the Torah? How do you know? Minayin lehasra min haTorah. How do you know what that hasra is min haTorah? Okay. Says the Gemara. What do you mean hasra min haTorah? Shneimar v'ish asher yikach es achaisai bas aviv oy bas imai. If a man, he takes his sister, either his paternal sister or his maternal sister, v'roes ervasa, and he sees her erva, at the b'ri'iyah talya milsa, right? What does that mean? El ad sheyiruhu taima shel dava, right? He has to see the reason behind it. Let's see the bottom Rashi. B'ri'iyah talya mishum deroy saw mechayiv, just because he saw his chayiv, obviously not. El royu taima shel dava, shehi erva loy. That he saw the reason that she's an erva to him. This pasuk is written by Karis. Now, fellas, Karis is you want for Karis, you're going to get Karis. When you get Karis, Karis is min shemayim. To tell a person will decapitate you, you could tell him. To tell him will strangle you, you could tell him. Tell him they're going to burn. They're going to get some molten lead down your throat, or you're going to be thrown off a building. That we could tell him. But to get Karis. the ha'enoi the hadin shemayim who it's been a shemayim. You can't say you're going to get kares. What does that mean? You can't you can't give it. V'lei boy asra, and you don't need asra for kares, guys. The kame shmaya galyim shaygik u'amazed. The reason for hasra is to discern whether he's doing it b'shaygik or b'amazed. Kape shmaya, guys, there is no there's no suffix. So for an chorus, you do not need hasra. Anyone is mechuyev hasra, be they shemayim, be they adam is chayev malchus. You're shaykh to malchus. You're shaykh to malchus. Okay. So with that in mind, so he brings a pasuk regarding achaysai, and says, obviously, ri'iyah can't mean just seeing her. So it means seeing the reason behind this. In Eina Inyan Lekaris, fellas, Amid Aleph. Why can't it be Inyan Karis? Because we just spoke out. But the purpose of Hasra is to discern between Shoigig and Mezid and Lechari that doesn't apply to Shemayim. To know Inyan Lamalkis, go ahead and imply what to Malchus. Because again, everyone who gets Chayiv Karis is Chayiv Malchus. Rashi says, Lahasrois Malchus, the Shaykh B'Chaysai. It's Shaykh B'Chaysai Malchus. So the first source we're given is from the Isha Shayikach Es Achaysai. So it's Ula, so from his sister. That's Hasra. Good. The Beichizkiya, the Yeshiva Chizkiya Tana, the Chiyazid Ish Areyo Laharga Ba'arma. This is the Pasha of murder. Chiyazid Ish Areyo Laharga Ba'arma. If it's a kayin, he wants to do the avoida, right? We can't do the avoida, and we said that it's not doicha, right? That ritzicha is doicha avoida, right? We said ritzicha is doicha avoida. So now, where is the hasra over here, fellas? Right? V'adainu mezid, says the Gemara. Rashi says, v'chi yazid minoya dinon el shehisu bo v'adayin hu mezid lishnachrina v'im hizid. It doesn't say v'im hizid if he plotted past tense like Neman. He will plot. Mashma tamid hu bizdoine v'zeika. He will plot, meaning he's constantly plotting. That's the ikka. This is Rashi's a kapshat. If a man will plot Ishrael lahorga ba'arma, shehisru by that what that you warn him that you're plotting to go ahead and kill what and kill your friends. So we have two sources now for what for mem aleph amid aleph nasan. We have two sources for hasra. We have achaysai, a nerva, right, which is a chiyav vad karis and malchus. We have now a chiyav of sayif, a chiyav of hariga. If you go ahead and you kill someone, you get decapitated, sayif. So we have a source for hasra by malchus and karis. We have a source by karis, not karis, by malchus, and a source what by ritzicha. And Tana the Rabbi Shmuel Tana hamitzin oisai mikoishes eitzim. That they found the one on Shabbos gathering wood. There's a mice brought in the Torah of a person who was gathering wood on Shabbos. They warned him, you're not supposed to do it. It was brought to Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe didn't know what to do. He incarcerated him, and eventually they realized that since he's B'chal Shabbos, he gets skila. He gets skila, right? There's some people who say that it was Tzalavchad. There's a day that it was Tzalavchad. So I might see him, I saw, what? Excuse me? Tzalavchad. No, Slavchad. No. So the Rabbi Shmuel Tana hamitzim Isai mikoishetz eitzim. It says the lashon. It doesn't say that what shekishesh eitzim that he gathered eitzim, but he was gathering even after they warned him shehisru boy, and he still went ahead what, and after they found him, he still warned vadayin hu mikoishesh. So here's the fasra. So one. You warned him, and he's still plotting. So we have three sources, guys. Right? We have three sources. We have achaysai. We have achaysai. We have murder, ritzicha, and we have mekaishesh. Okay. The Rebbe Tana, a fourth source, right? By Nair Murasa. What does it say? Right? It says es shneim el shara ir. You'll bring both them the Noyef and the Noyefes, you'll bring the adulterer and the boil. He usakaltum bavanim, they'll get skila. Umesu es anaira, you'll kill the girl. Why? Again, she was naim marasa. She never lived with her husband. Al devar ashalei tzaka be'er. Al devar, al the dibur that they warned her. So al devar sha'inov al iske dibur. So now you have a whole 4 sources. What for hasra? With tzricha, you need all the sources. Dikas rachmana achaysai havamina chayve malchus in chayve misas loy. Chayve malchus would require, but chayve misas not. Chayve malchus yes, but chayve misas not. Rashi havamina achaysai deina misa ela malchus who demin hasra. Av chayve misas the chamiri emaloi. In other words, I would think something that's so chomer, maybe the Torah has warned you to stay away from it. Something as in I guess in terms of severity, Malchus is the least. So there maybe you have to be warned, but something more severe not. So if you just had a chaysai, I would have mina chayve Malchus in chayve Mrs. Loy. Kosach Ramana Kizyazid, which is a chiev of Saif. Because Achman of Chiyazid have amina hani mili Saif. The kill. Saif is number 3 on the punishment chart. Skila, which is number 1 according to most people, the chamura. A maloi, I would say it's so chamer, you don't need asra. So tzricha, you need to tell me naira murasa. You need to tell me naira murasa and Shabbos. So the question is, you told me to niskalim. So we have 4. Achoisa is malchus, ritzicha is sayif. We have Shabbos and naira murasa. So you have 2 of the warnings teaching me the same thing by skila. Why do you need 2? Why do you need Naim Rasa and Shabbos? Either one should do the job. Both of them are Chayiv Skila. So once you tell me you have a straw by one, I know the other, right? And the Gemara says, and for the Gemara, V'tartim in Niskalim Lamali, why do I need 2 asras by Niskalim by people who get Skila? Reb Shimon Lasuy Nisrafim, and Rabbanan Milsi Asabakavay Mitar Lakra. Okay, so guys, watch. What does Reb Shimon hold? He'll Sreif is Mochana. The famous machlokes, which is Mochana, Skila Sreifa. Some say skila, and Shimon says sreifa. So late Rav Shimon, if you just told me what, just told me 2 skilas, I would think sreifa. You don't need hasra because it's most severe. Therefore, you told me 2 skilas to tell me what? To tell me 1 for skila itself and 1 for sreifa. And according to the Chachamim, why do you have right 2? Mil sedas mikal b'chaymer, right? Tarif v'kosel l'kra. Something that you can learn from a kal b'chaymer. You meaning what? If skila is chayiv, sreifa like kol shekain. Right. If skila, you need asra, and if skila is more chomer than sreifa, and if skila needs asra, sreifa, which is less, ain't a din that it needs asra, right? So the Gemara says that's what the extra one is for. Okay, guys, so just write the Niskalim and learn out sreifa, malchus, and sayif. And there's once you know the most severe requires hasra, everything else memela requires hasra. Madoch the most chomer avera, which you would think the person would be cognizant of that it's that you shouldn't do it, and therefore if he does it, he's not a shogeg, he's amazed. He's not a shogeg, he's amazed. So I would say what? I would say everything else. Of course, you need. So why do you need? Says Gemara. All you need is the Niskalim, and everything else you can learn from Kal V'Chaimer. And the reason we wrote it is the Milsa that you learn from Kal V'Chaimer Tarif V'Kosel L'Kra. Okay, we said Hitter Atzlim L'Misa Minalan. How do you know the person has to go ahead and matter himself to Misa? He has to say Afal Pikainam. Do you know you're killing yourself? And he goes, yeah, I know. Minalan Amarav Vitem Echizkia Amakra. What does the pasuk say? It says, Al Pishnaim Eidim, Ashloisha Eidim, Yumas Hames. Now, what is that? It should say Yumas Haish. What do you mean Yumas Hames? He's not dead yet, guys. Elamah. He's dead. No, he says, look at Rashi. Rashi, guys. Hames, Mashma Kvar Humes. It's Mashma is like a dead already. Why? Because he verbalized and said, you know you're going to die? He goes, yeah, I know. So in other words, Yumas Hames, he ready was accepting himself that I'm a dead man. I don't know what that means. Until he matters himself a misa, very geschmack. Amar Rav Chanan, nice gemara. Eidei Naimurasa. Now, Naimurasa gets skila. Eidei Naimurasa shehuzmu. So two people come along and they say that this woman was Mizana. She's a Naira. She's between 12 and a day and 12 and 6 months. She's married, but does not live with her husband yet. She's in the Arison period. And two people come along and say on her she was Mizana, and she's Chayv Skila. Two Eidim come along and say, what? Imanu Yisem, you with us. So you would think they get Skila. Says the Gemara, they don't get Skila. They don't get Skila. Why? Ein Rogan. Says Rav Chanan, they don't get killed. We didn't come to kill her. We came to asr on her husband. We know that a woman who's a saita, a vadai saita, is asa, even if she's a suffix saita, the one's questionable. She's asa to the boil. She's asa to her husband, and she's asa to the one who was with her. So we didn't come to kill her. We came to asr on her husband. So this is Rav Chanan's chiddush, that 80 Namarasa who are Muslim, they won't get killed because they can say the reason they came and testify was to go ahead and. Now, what does this have to do with anything? I v'ha'asruba. They gave asra. What did they say? If you do this, you're going to go ahead and die, get skila. Says the Gemara, Deloy asruba. They didn't give asra. For the Gemara, v'loy asruba, hechi miktala. If you didn't give hasra, how could you kill? Rashi, hechi miktala. The kivin the ihi lay miktala. Since she wasn't born and she's not dying, pshita the inu lay miktale. It's pasha that they won't die. Kasha zamam ksiv. In other words, you're saying the reason why what, guys? The reason why they don't get killed is because they said what? We came to Aser on the husband. That's not the reason they don't get killed. The reason they don't get killed is she's not getting killed. Why is she not getting killed? Because, in other words, the reason you get killed is because of Eidim Zaymimim, right? But if you didn't give Hasra and you're not going to die, there's no Eidim Zaymimim. So why be toilet in the reason that you're not getting killed is because they could have tied I'm coming to Asr on the husband. Forget that reason. Even if they came to kill her, they wouldn't get killed. Because they didn't give Asra. That's why afraid the Gemara. Says Gemara, Heichi Mikdala. And says Gemara, Isha Chaveira. Speaking about an Isha Chaveira who does not require Hasra. The Tanya of Rabbi Yehuda Chava ain't Sarach Hasra. Right? So therefore, Eishes Chaver, she is what? She does not require Hasra. She doesn't require Hasra because why? Because she. So in that case, you would kill Pashtus. You would kill her because she doesn't require Hasra. In that case, they're not getting killed not because they didn't give Hasra. They're not getting because she doesn't require Hasra because she knows better. Because she has a husband who's a chaver. The reason you're not getting killed because they could tie into that what? We came to ask on the husband.
But the fact is, she would they're not Aiden Zerman come, she would have been killed, even though they had in mind not to get her killed.
Whatever they time doesn't make a difference. In other words, we have you want to you're telling me there was no hasra. For the Gemara Kasha was no hasra, of course they're not getting killed. And for the Gemara, no, in this case, the reason they wouldn't get killed is because they could taina we came to ask the husband. Als hazama, they would normally get killed. Good. Als hazama, normally they would get killed. But in this case, since they could taina what? I'm going to set you up. Right now, here's what we're holding. She's dying because she doesn't need hasra. She could get killed without hasra. Your kasher is then, why don't they get killed? Because they can tie into that what that they're coming to ask the husband. So she gets killed and they're off the hook because that's what they could tie in. Okay, so though there's a problem, l'chayra, if there's no hasra, there's a bigger problem. Could you be Mekayim without hasra? Could you Mekayim kasha zaman with these people? So it's Eid Shetiach Lazima. That's why they're not getting killed. Fed the Gemara, the kasha.
But she shouldn't get killed either.
The Gemara's going to ask that. Now, ihi hechi mikdala, how could you possibly kill her? It's no, Dov, this is your problem, just verbalized differently. How could she gets killed? They're tying what they could have said. But there ain't a shadiach lazima. In other words, the only time you get killed is when you want to kill. It's really what you're saying, though. It's just the lashon is different, right? So in other words, how could you? Good, there's no asra, so she's getting killed because she doesn't need asra, and you're saying they get off the hook because they could have tied it what? Okay, so then since they could have tied it this, they're really eidish shadiach lazima. If it's eidish shadiach lazima, then how is she getting killed? That's Ben's question. Again, I can't stress this enough. Again, the whole power of the aid is the fact that they got to worry that their life is on the line. I had a sefer called Imre Bina. Of course, I haven't seen it since I moved. And the first shtickle is all on Aedis. I still remember. I don't remember what it said, but I remember the first shtickle is on Aedis. Hachanami ka'amar. Ein hachinami. Mitoy she nerogim shechoyon loy meloisu abayla banu afhi ein nerega. She doesn't get killed. So now Dov is happy. She's not getting killed either. Good? Okay, everything's great. Ela be'isha chavercha de kaimlon de mikdala aliva de Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda heikim mishkachasla. Now, there seemed to be some type of Messiah, guys. There seemed to be some type of Messiah that Isha's chaver would get killed. What's the mitzvah of the case? They didn't give hasra. They didn't give hasra, correct? They didn't give hasra. The Eidim who say they can taina what? They can taina, we came to us on the husband. But we have a Messiah, she's going to die. You can't kill one without Eidim. So if the Eidim are azima, how could you have a hechetimsa of a woman that is just getting killed? That's like Fred the Gemara. And there's a Messiah. No, you could say Rechinami, but no. It seems to be there was a Messiah that an Isha's Chaver could get killed. But the question is how? These Eidim are not Eidim. And the only way to kill Sapishayim Eidim, you must have mace. You need two Eidim. Says the Gemara, Kishezinsa v'chazav v'zinsa. They can't, if she was boiled twice, she can't say you came to ask the husband because she was asa from the first one. So they made it on the second one. It must be what? To kill her. It must be what? To kill her. So zinsa v'chazav v'zinsa. That's the only way. That zinsa v'chazav v'zinsa. It must be that what? Now. You know what? So maybe the second time, you know what we came? We came to Asura on the second boil. We came to Asura on the second boil, and we didn't come to kill her. Says Gemara, she's instantly boil Rishain. The same guy. Boil Rishain. She already was Asa to him already. For guys, the first time she was this boil, Asa the boil, Asa the boil. Husband's out of the picture. Asa and the husband. Asa on the boil too. Now they say a second Adis on this what? Now it's Adis Shatayach Azima. Fellas, the second time, Harry is Mizana twice with the same woman. On the second time, the two Adam can't, the Adam will say on the second time, you don't need Asra for this lady. She's an Eishas Chava. But they can't kind of that what they came to Asa. Why? She was already Asa. So what did they come to do? To kill her. That's Adis Yachal Azim and she would die. That's how you become the Messiah. Right? Or perhaps Inami, Shazinsa Bikroiveha. Right? In other words, she was Mizana with a Karev. Obviously, the Karev is already Asa. So why did you come to do? You came to kill, and that's Eidish Yachal Azim. A very, very fascinating Gemara. Now, why did we learn this by Nairu Murasa? We could have had this whole dialogue by a regulation ish, right? Guys, why? But the uniqueness about the Nairu Murasa is that she gets skila. But this case could have been what by anything, right? Good. Great. But still, I mean, the bottom line is you're telling me that you don't die. You're telling me you don't die, right? So it could be any case. So in this instance, we don't care how you die, Doc. It's just the fact that you're not going to die.
The wife.
All right. So Maishlanai Marasa did knock it. I feel in the Suanami in El Afilu Hai de la Yosva Tute Yichayin Lemelasa Bailabanu. In other words, there's a big difference. And Naim Marasa never lived with a husband. So you might think in this case, they're not going to, we're not Bishlema, they live together. You can say, they're coming to ask the husband. In other words, you're telling Naim Marasa for a bigger chiddush. Even in a case where they never lived together, they are believed to taina, according to Rav Chanan, they're believed to taina that we came to ask the husband, even though they never lived together. So that's why you want to be a chiddush. Rav Chisda. And as we spoke about the guys, the Mishnah spoke about the bedikos. The bedikos is ancillary things, right? It could be ancillary things. Let's look back in the Mishnah, for example, of bedikos, guys. Let's look back in the Mishnah for a second. Maisu bodik ben zakai, ba'oik tzeiteinim. Where the oikits was the stem of the fig tree. Was it thick? Was it thin? Ma ben chakiris the bedikos. Chakiris echad ameni yadeya edusim betela. Bedikos echad ameni yadeya. Vafilu shleima ameni ani yodim edusa kayemes. Right? Even when it would be mekoyim. Okay. So now, give me examples of what of. Guys, remember Daf Lamed, that Bedik in if they don't remember in the Ika Ritzicha, that's a problem. If it's ancillary, then it's not. So, for example, we're going to see an example of the Gemara. How did you get killed? How did you kill him? One guy says an axe, one guy says a gun. So this doesn't lead to Hazama, but that we will be Mevatel at Edis, because they're going on the primary thing that killed. The murderer was wearing green pants. The murderer was wearing purple pants. Then, since that's not going to stop the Edis, even though they're conflicting with each other, okay? Because that's ancillary information, not primary information. So Amr of Chista, Echadayim b'Sayif haragu, he killed him with a sword. Echadayim b'Aririn haragu, some type of axe. Ein ze nachin, it means that's lashon nachin. They're not good Edim. Echadayim kelev shchayrim, he was wearing black. Echadayim kelev levanim, he was wearing white. How is that nachin? That would be good Edis. Meisavei nachin. What does nachin mean? Shei nachin echad. Shei nachin. That they should be both in the same kivun. Echadam b'Sayif haragu. V'echadam b'Irin haragu. Echadam kelev shchayrim. V'echadam kelev levanim. Ain't say nachin. So here a brisa saying that what black and white clothing would be a problem, even though what it's not the shechanku boy. The Hainus Aririn. You know what the Kalim, black and white? It's not what he was wearing. The handkerchief used to choke him, was it black or white? That's the same question as a gun or a sword, right? In other words, that's the Iker Edis. Toshma, Echadam sandal of Shchayrim, he was wearing black sandals. Echadam sandal of Levanim, Ein Zen Nachon, it's not good Edis. I Lechayr, it's ancillary information. Hasanami Kigan Shabbat by Sandal of Aragu. No, that was the murder weapon. The murder weapon was his sandal. Must be some kicker. Toshma, Maisa ubodak ben zakai ba'oitze te'enim. Right, he was checked with oitze te'enim. Now, l'chayr, what is that kasha? Oitze te'enim is not ikka. It's not ikka stuff. It's ancillary stuff. So the bedika that can, in other words, what's the purpose of the bedika? To go ahead and get the edim to go ahead and disagree with each other, and therefore be mevatel the redis. But if you're telling me that it has to be the ikka primary weapon, what is the fact that he said that what does that have to do with anything? So I'm going she'okatz te'ena b'Shabbos. The Allah come mikdal. He's b'chal Shabbos. In other words, when the teinim. So this is the primary edis. It's what's killing him. The oikits that he disattached from the tree. Was it thick? Was it thin? So the male, it's the same as black and white handkerchiefs. Same thing as axes and swords. Fred Gemara, how can you tell me it's a Shabbos tikadin? But Tanya Amruloi Tachas Te'ena Haragu. He said they said to him it was killed underneath what? A tree. So you see it's a dinner with Ritzicha. It's not a din in Shabbos. It's a Ritzicha dikadin, not a Shabbos dikadin. Al Amar Rami Barchama Kigoin Sheshaftu Biyichud Shel Te'ena. He stabbed him with the branch of the Te'ena tree and killed him. So therefore you wanted to know what was the oikits like. So in other words, it's a primary weapon. Tashma Amalahen. Te'enazu oiktzeh dakin. The te'ena, its oikits was thin. Oiktzeh gazin, it was thick. Te'enim shechayris, te'ena levenos. So lechayra, what do you see? You see that what? That it's ancillary stuff, and nonetheless we're asking that. Elam Rav Yosef mi ben Zakai loisif inish. From Ben Zakai, you're asking on the man? Shiny Ben Zakai, the bedikos kichachiris mashvalei. You're asking from Ben Zakai. Ben Zakai, he said the bedikos were the chakiros. The meaning, just like the chakiros, if they were not lined up one to the other, it's mevatel. in the bedikos, if they don't match up, even if it's ancillary stuff, even if it's not main stuff, it would go ahead and be a source of being mevatel the edus. Okay, so therefore it's not shver. Now we want to know who this Ben Zakkai is. The Gemara digresses now. Again, you can't go too far in Sanhedrin without getting a got it, right? Just the.
Sorry.
Oh, we have time. Will be 7, 2
Okay. So who's this Ben Zakkai? So obviously, if I asked you, you'd say it's Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakkai. So Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakkai, Mihave, Misanhedria, was Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakkai alive when they were going ahead and judging capital punishment cases? V'atanya, Kol Shenaisav Shel Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakkai, Me'av Esim Shana. Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakkai lived for 120 years. Arboim Shana Asik B'Pragmatia. The first 40 years of his life, he was busy with business. Mem Shana, the middle 40 years of his life, Lomad, he learned. And so at the final 40 years of his life, Arboim Shana Limaid, and the final he taught, meaning that's when he was judging. So he, at the age of 80, began judging, and L'chaira, he was limud, he was learning at this time. Now here's the problem. Vitanya, Arboim Shana Koidim Churban Abayis, goes to Sanhedrin. 40 years before the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, murder was so rampant that they stopped judging cases. The Bezdin, again, we spoke out, the Bezdin of 23 that judges capital punishment gets their power from the Bezdin of 71. The Bezdin of 71 left, so you couldn't have any capital punishment cases for it. Now, Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakkai was alive, and 40 years they stopped judging the case. So, they went and Chanos was the name of a place. V'amar Yisrael bar Avdimi, Leima, Shleidanu dine kanasais. Dine kanasais al-kadaitach, el Shleidanu dine nefashais. V'tanan. V'tanan.
It's really the way I feel, huh? You couldn't put him.
Mishachar Beis HaMikdash, Hiskin Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakkai. So he made a takana. So you see that he was alive, fellas, when at the time of the end of the base. So 40 years before they stopped. So he couldn't have been alive when they were judging the cases. He's alive at the time of the destruction, right? And they had stopped, and he only could have judged the past 40 years because he lived to 120, correct? And they already stopped 40 years before the destruction. So he couldn't have judged any of the cases. So he said Ben Zakkai would check with these bedikos. It can't be Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakkai. It can't, right? Ella must be Ben Zakkai the Alma. It must be Thomas person named Ben Zakkai. We had Ben Zoymer, Ben Azai, and then Ben Zakkai. Hachanami Mistabra. These Sakadaitach Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakkai. Kari law Rebbe Ben Zakkai. They call him Ben. We won't give him his name. But Tanya. Fred Gemara. Okay, so now we have a teretz. So it wasn't Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakkai, it was someone named Ben Zakkai. Fred Gemara Vatanya, Maisu Bodik Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakkai Book Teinim. It says openly Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakkai. Ella, what do you have to say? Talmid HaYoshev Rabbi Have. He was alive at the time of this court case. But he wasn't Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakkai yet, he was Ben Zakkai. It was in the 40 years that he was learning. And he was part of the 3 rows sitting in front. Right. He wasn't part of sitting in front. So notice we could have him alive at the time of a capital punishment case. V'ama Milsa, he said, Akut Zach, he said something that was very good. Umistaberlu Tamayu, and they went ahead and they liked what he said. The Kavu Amibeis, the Kavu Bishmei, and the Kaveya in his name. Now, Ki Havi Lomad Ben Zakkai Have. When he was in the midst of learning, he was Ben Zakkai. Korile Kitalmad Yoshev Rabbi. Ki Have Limaid, and then when he was Limaid, when he was ready paskening, Havi Korile Rabban Yochanan Ben Zakkai. Ki Korile Ben Zakkai Al Shem de Meikora. Ki Korile Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakkai Al Shem de Hashta. So in other words, it's the same person. When it says Ben Zakkai, it means what? Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakkai. And when they call him Ben Zakkai, it was the spur of the moment, based upon him sitting in front of the Chevra when they were still judging capital punishment cases, and they like what he said. And then when they put it down, they're putting it down what? They put it down later on based upon his status later on. Very good teretz. Okay, take out the words Maisu Badak. Ma bin Chakiris. What's the difference between Rishis and Chakiris? Guys, let's look at the Mishnah again. The line before it gets wide. Ma bin Chakiris lebedikos. Chakiris echad ameni yadeya edusim betela. Bedikos echad ameni yadeya vafilu shnayim amim ein on yodim edusa kayemes. That is it's now, guys. If 1/8 says I don't know, it's still okay. So, is there any bigger chiddush in saying 2 eidim don't know? In other words, each one is a player, right? So obviously, if 1 is, we still doesn't affect it. 2 also doesn't affect. In other words, you know, if you think it out, right? If 1 says any day, it's no big deal. So 2 also, it's no big deal. In other words, we're not mailu married, but it's bedika. So why do you care 1 or 2? Freddy Marakasha. Maya filu. What do you mean afilu? Shnayim moimim pshita. Kiyame echad eni yadeya edusin kayemes. Kiyame beitrei nami edusin kayemes. Again, once we go ahead and say this piece of information is not crucial for being mevatalim, mali echad mali shtayim. Rav Sheshes areishikoy. It's going on the reisha. It's going on the chakiras, guys. It's going on the chakiras. V'hochi kamar b'chakiras. Now afilu. Now you have guys. You have 3 edim. Afilu shnayim amru yadana. 2 say we don't know. We do know. Yadana, we do know. So in other words, you have 3 edim. You could go ahead up Ishnayim edim yakum davar, but you have 3 edim. 2 say they know. 1 says not. So what could you say? Let's get rid of the 1 and be mekayim the other 2. What does Rabbi Akiva say in Masech Nemakis? If you maze him 2, you got to be mazing all 3. It's 1 kat. So over here as well. Keman Rabbi Akiva, the makas shloisha lishnayim. So therefore, once 3 kam, they're 1 kat. So if 1 person doesn't know, it's mevatel the whole kat, even though you don't need him. Amarava va'idusin kayemis katani. How could you say it's going the reisha edusin betela? We lashon is edusin kayemis. So the guy says, I don't know. Edusin kayemis. Guys, you tell me he doesn't know edusin betela. We say if he doesn't know edusin kayemis. So it's fair to say that it's going on the reisha. Alama Rabbi Kamar. Afilu b'chakiros, even by chakiros, it's going on the reisha. But shnayim oimim yadano, ve'echad eni yadeya edusin kayemis. If 2 say we know and 1 says we don't, we'll keep the edus. It'll be okay. Kiman, like Rabbi Akiva, because we don't need this 3rd guy. Not like Rabbi Akiva that it's 1 kat. We'll do away with the 3rd guy. Have 2 who do know, and we'll be okay. Rav Kahana Rav Safra, Tani Sanhedrin Bei Rabba. Rav Kahana and Rav Safra, they learned Masechta Sanhedrin in the yeshiva of Rabba. Pagabu Rami Bar Chama, Rami Bar Chama met up with them. Amrulei, Maya Misa Ba Sanhedrin the Bei Rabba. What chedushim are they saying in the yeshiva Bei Rabba? So Amrulei, so Rav Kahana Rav Safra said to him, Umaya Mina Ba Sanhedrin Grei Dasa. In other words, if you're asking us this question, you must have a question on Sanhedrin Stam. So in other words, what question do you have on if forget Rabba? What question do you have on Sanhedrin? Well, my kashalach, what's shver? So Amalei, Mahaidik Tani. Ma ben chakiris the bedikos, chakiris echad ama eni yadeya, edusim betela, bedikos ama echad eni yadeya, vafilu shnayim ama mein ani yoidim edusim kayemes. Michti, idi deraisa, v'derashtu chakarta hetiv. Guys, both Trisha and Chakira midaraisa. He maishna chakiris that edusim betela, umaishna bedikos that chedusha kayemes, that edusim kayemes. What's the difference? That's what was bothering Rami Bar Chama. That's what he's bothering them. So Amalei. I guess it's Amrulei. Afkan Rav Safra said to Rami Bar Chama, Hachi Hashta. B'chakiras Amar Echad Eni Yadeya, Eidusim Betela, Dahavila Eidush Yetiyach Lazima. Again, if they say, I don't know what time, I don't know what date, I don't know what place, right? Then it's Eidush Yetiyach Lazima. That's why it's Eidusim Betela. B'dikais Amar Echad Mehem Eni Yadeya, Eidusim Kayemes. Eidus, why? Because Eidush Yetiyach Lazima. Whether the guy says it was black or white or the uktzim were thick or not is not going to go ahead and affect the fact that you can be mazing the Edom. So Amalahu, so said Rami Bar Chama to Rav Safra and Rav Kahana, he said to them, Ihachi Amrisaba Tuva Amrisaba. This is what you said in the yeshiva. You said very good. So Amrilei, that he retorted, Mitivusa demara minan. That we said good is batayva is because of you, because you were good to us. You are uncovered us. But minizunuse demar, if you had been tough on us, then we wouldn't have been able to go ahead and said anything. So it's you, Ram Rechama, that allowed us to go ahead and say this Kiddush.